Hey, it's Wild Josh from Geek-Cetera, and I'm here to talk about something that I picked up today at the comic book store, and that is episode 1, or comic number 1 of the Star Wars The Rise of Kylo Ren series. And I had heard so much stuff about it that I had to go and get it and finish reading it. I wanted to talk about what I thought about it. I'm going to tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and also how I feel that this comic book series, specifically number 1, because the next one is going to come out later in January. So how this episode, this edition, whatever they call these, I'm not much of a comic book reader, as you can probably tell, how this one is going to tie into the Rise of Skywalker. So let's get into it.
We're gonna talk about geeky things.
Woohoo! So right off the bat, this comic picks up really nicely. It brings us right into a character that, well, it sets us off in a time period that just is long ago, so kind of ambiguous. Don't know exactly how long ago is. But there's a man there who looks a lot like Lord Momin in some of the other comic book series, and I've done some videos on Lord Momin, where he's got a mask. You can't really see, you don't see his face, and you notice that right off the bat that his body is definitely war torn. He's got scars and lesions, and he's a mess. He's a big mess. And and he says, I am called Ren. So you think, oh, this is Ren. This is the original Ren. This is going to give us some information on where that name Ren comes from. But it's interesting because as the story evolves, you realize he might not necessarily be Ren. He follows the ways of the Ren or something like that. At one point, he even alludes to the fact that his lightsaber is named Ren. So it's a bit confusing for me anyways. I haven't been able to put together all the parts, but I think it's an organization, a group of people that follow a belief system, and they call themselves Ren. And some of his followers who are in this comic with him are called the Knights of Ren, and they appear to be similar to the Knights of Ren that we've seen in the movies. So that long ago might not actually be that long ago. It might just be some time ago. But anyways, they're doing some kind of recruiting mission to recruit some Force users to join the Knights of Ren. And they decide that they are unworthy, and they end up meeting their maker. But anyways, I thought it was cool because the way they set up the comic, it really feels like almost like you're watching a little short story or a TV series, because you have that intro of Ren, and then all of a sudden it goes to this page, boom, like it just says Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Kylo Ren, and it's very similar to like what you would see like in the opening credit scene of a movie or something like that. But anyways, it goes back to a more normal time, a time that we know, which is right after the destruction of the Luke's Jedi Temple, when Ben Solo has lost his cool, I guess, and destroyed the temple, and thought he destroyed Luke Skywalker, and he destroyed the Jedi there, and he's just standing there in front of a huge burning temple, something that we've seen in flashback scenes in the movies. And then a ship lands behind him, and 3 Jedi come out, and these Jedi are students that were at Luke Skywalker's temple. They were friends of Ben Solo, and they're like, what's going on? We don't sense Luke Skywalker. And Ben tells them what happened, and they obviously are going to try to stop him because they are Jedi, or they were trained to be Jedi, and they attempt to stop Ben from leaving. He fights them, and he wins, and he wounds one of them, not to critically, but pretty seriously. So anyways, Ben Solo gets in his ship, or in a ship, and takes off into space, and they get into another ship, and they take off into space, and they give chase, and Ben Solo ends up disabling their engines with a shot from his cannons, and they're basically just trapped there. And he then decides to go, and it's around this time that he starts getting these these voices coming in his head, similar to what we see from him, where he may be thinking that he's talking to his grandfather, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, but we know from the Rise of Skywalker trailer that he was actually being manipulated by Snoke. So he's not really sure where to go, and he leaves and goes to this planet. Well, I can't say it's a planet. It's a planet-looking space station, I think. It looks like a large glass dome that inside contains a rainforesty jungle, and inside there is where Snoke is. And he goes to Snoke, and this is an interesting panel here in the comic. When he sees Snoke, he embraces Snoke. They hug, which gives you the idea that at some point in this story arc, before the destruction of the temple, Ben Solo did know Snoke, had a relationship with Snoke. He was not just running to some stranger. He's going to someone that actually he's had a relationship with. And there's a conversation that ensues about something that Master Luke did to Snoke, and that's the reason that he's disfigured or has, those facial scars and things like that. So, kind of interesting, and then it ends there, basically, and tells us that we're going to be getting Kylo Ren, or The Rise of Kylo Ren, Episode 2, Issue 2, whatever you call it, on January 15th, 2020, which I plan on getting, and I'll probably do another video for you on that one as well. So, very interesting stuff. I like the way it's set up. I like the art style. I think all the dialogue is pretty good. Some of the things that I'm like, the guys at the beginning when we meet Ren. Well, let me stay on what I like. I like how it is filling in some gaps. We're getting that it wasn't, and even with the explosion, the Jedi Temple, I thought that Ben Solo had gone in and killed, and like similar to Anakin storming the Jedi Temple on Coruscant and killed all those people. That's what was on fire. But it actually doesn't seem like that's the case, because at one point it shows he crushes the hut that he's in, that Luke Skywalker's trying to kill him in. But then when he goes to, here's the panel right here. He goes to go into the temple after that, and it explodes. And it just explodes out in a massive explosion, and it pushes him back, and he goes flying backwards. And so he's not the one that did that, which leaves question as to who did. If he's not the one that blew up the temple, actually blew up the temple, he's not the one that killed all those Jedi in the temple. Something else did, or someone else did, which is an interesting thought, and I have a theory on what might have happened. But so what I didn't like is, and I've mentioned this I think in other videos that I've done before, I enjoy storytelling, and I like to write on my own in my personal time. And I've written several stories and some short stories as well. I've never had anything published, but I do a lot of writing. And I don't like the bad guy, the villain that kills just to kill. To me, that is a cop-out. It just doesn't do anything for me story-wise. And I feel like what we've gotten from Ren so far, the character Ren at the very beginning, is that he's just ruthlessly mean for no reason. Like, these two individuals wanted to join his order, and he decided that they weren't worthy and just killed them for no real apparent reason. Or I just thought, At first I thought I understood what was going to happen, because they were brothers. These two were brothers, and he said that there was going to need to be like a sacrifice or something like that. And they're like, what are you talking about? We've killed hundreds of men in our lifetime. And then one of the brothers shot the other one in the back. And I was thinking, oh, maybe they were seeing which one was more serious. He was only going to take one. But then he killed that one anyways. So I just felt like killing for killing's sake, and I don't love that. That's just, to me, is not great storytelling. But I'm not going to take shots at someone that wrote the book. Charles Soule is an excellent writer, and he's done a lot more than I have. So I don't maybe we're gonna find out more that there's a reason for that kind of stuff, but I just don't like that. And then the 3 Jedi that came at the end, I haven't found a real strong attachment to him. Came at the end, came after Ben destroyed the Jedi Temple or thought he killed Skywalker. I just haven't found a reason to be attached to him. Their names were Hennix, I think. He was a Quarren, was Hennix, and then there was 2 humans. One name was Ty, and yeah, Hennix was the Quarren. Ty was the male Jedi that was bald, and the girl, the female with the white hair, her name was Vo. So they were an interesting characters. I get the feeling that they're probably going to be chasing Ben Solo down throughout this series until something probably happens to them. Obviously, they're not alive anymore, or they're not around anymore, or maybe they are. So let's get into what I think, how this might tie into the Rise of Skywalker. The way they're hunting Ben, these 3 Jedi, is almost like they have a grudge against him, or they're letting their anger get the best of them. They could have then turned to the New Republic, turned to somewhere else, and maybe not gone off on their own. But I'm wondering if one or not all become Knights of Ren eventually, just because of their seem to be very angry and letting their anger get the best of them. Also, I wonder if there's a connection between the Ren in the beginning, that we don't see his face, he's got a mask on, we just see his body, and Snoke. Could they be the same individual? Could Snoke and Ren be the same? And that's why he has put Kylo Ren, given the name Kylo Ren to Ben Solo, who was his favorite, maybe, and put him as in charge of the Knights of Ren now, as he's stepped aside and ruling and being in charge more from the background. So I think that could be the case, that they're the same person. And maybe we'll find that out in the movie. I guess we could find it out if it's mentioned, but somehow in the story of Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, sorry. Or if when Kylo is talking to his Knights of Ren, that he says something like, calls them by their actual name. If he says Hennix or Ty or Vo to any of his Knights of Ren, even though we don't see what they look like, we would say, oh, that's a tie back to the comic book series. Also curious if we'll see that space station, that jungly, foresty space station. Maybe, probably not though, but it's a possibility. So yeah, it was really interesting. I liked getting a little bit of backstory here, but there needs to be a lot more. And obviously, this is just issue number 1. So we'll see what comes in the future. So yeah, if you've gotten a chance to check it out, let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And also, if you like this video, be sure to throw a like on it. Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of our future content. We try to put up content weekly, and we're going to have more content coming out probably in the next couple days, because we're going to talk about The Mandalorian Episode 7, and also we're going to do a video before we see Rise of Skywalker, which comes out tonight, and just give our thoughts on what we're looking forward to about the movie. So yeah, so if you want to see those things, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out when those videos drop. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.